So I realized that, all right, we need to plan ahead now. So immediately we sprung into action. All right, well, we need to launch this feature by then. We need to change our database so that way the app isn't crashing for the new surge of downloads and users. We need to do this. Boom, 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 boom.
Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Why Y'all Working. I'm your co-host, Michael Ogusanya.
I'm Alert J.
And we have the amazing Destin George Bell here with us today. Say what's up.
What's poppin', everybody?
Long time coming. Recent Shark Tank awardee. You're the first person that we can talk about actually getting the money from Shark Tank. Over $150,000 from Damon John and another brilliant investor from that team. You kicked off the newest season. Destin is the founder of Card.io, focused on allowing people to gamify the fitness experience. I remember using it a couple months after we met for the first time for coffee in Austin. Shout out to Mickey for making that connection. Whether we were in Cincinnati, back in Austin again, you're a friend, someone that I really appreciate and someone doing the damn thing. So let's get started with that first question. Destin, why do you work?
I work because I want to create generational wealth and something that I can look back on and say, I made that with my own two hands. There's a very simple, we look at the Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? We got, your general needs, low level security of, food, water, shelter, cool. And then we got some psychological needs of, I like the work I do and all that. But then when we get to the actual focus, the thing that gives you that self-actualization, for me, is that generational wealth, it's the legacy, it's being able to point at something and say, I did that, I built this, people around the world use my product, people watch my videos, whatever it is I'm doing, are getting some kind of value out of something I made with my own two hands. And while I could accomplish those first two very simple needs with, any type of sales job at any tech company here in Austin, that main thing that I wanted for the self-actualization is something I felt like I can only get by building something with my own two hands, and that's the main reason why I work.
And hopefully I didn't rush into it too much. I want to make sure you can address the people, say what's up. Anything I missed in that intro?
Nah, man, I think you hit everything, My name's Destin George Bell. I'm just a young man trying to make it in the world, living here in Austin, Texas, born and raised from Kentucky, strictly Louisville, Kentucky. That's my city. That's my hood. That's the Louisville. That's where my boys are. Also, University of Kentucky alumni. Cardio, as you mentioned, it's a gamified fitness app, turning your outdoor walking and running into a giant game of turf war. Makes your outdoor walking and running a little bit more fun by making it a competition where you claim and steal the areas of town that you move through against other people. Think like Strava mixed in with capture the flag, while still tracking your mile pace, distance, and calories. You actually compete for ownership of that area by moving through it. And the idea is just add this really fun social competitive aspect to the walking and running that hopefully you are doing, and make it a little bit more enjoyable so you go the distance a little bit more often, a little bit further than you did the day before.
So yeah. Go for it.
Real quick. So, Destin, I know you mentioned that after our first question, why you work. What does really generational wealth mean to you, and what is your motivation behind that? I know you mentioned, your background, going to university and growing up, but can you talk specifically about what really changed your mindset towards, generational wealth? Did you always start out thinking about generational wealth? What was that like for you? How did you get into business? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, man, loaded question. I think the first thing I'll say is that when I started off in business, which it was all the way back to me, flipping my toys to other neighborhood kids when I was 5 or 6 years old. I always understood that money was important. My family, I would like to describe my lifestyle growing up as had everything I needed, but nothing I wanted. I never came home and the lights didn't come on, the water didn't run, the electricity went out. I always had that. But if I wanted to wear something that wasn't my school uniform to the functions, I had to buy that out of my own pocket. If I wanted to go somewhere, I was either going to have to bike there or take the bus there. My parents were always working. I didn't have a car. So from a young age, I realized if I want to have things that I want out of life, I got to get it with my own two hands. And the best way to do it was always to make it for myself. I always got annoyed when I would work. One of my first childhood jobs was at Kmart, and I would be there for an hour merchandising, cleaning up the shelves, and I would get paid $7 before tax to do that for an hour. And I think, dang, I'm only going to see $5 for the time that I just spent walking around these aisles, helping people find stuff, moving around toys in the toy aisle and helping people get their TVs out of the electronics section. I got paid $5 an hour for that. There's got to be a more efficient way to create wealth. And I always recognized that wealth was the most important thing that I could develop, not only for myself, but then also for my family, because I have very strong family values. I don't have, a wife and kids yet, but one day I will. And I want to be able to be there for my children. I want to be there for my wife. I want to be able to give them the experiences that I didn't get to have. I want them to travel. I want them to have access to resources. I want them to feel like they can do the things they want to do, because a lot of people do what they have to do. And I don't want that to be the experience that my family lives. That's a lot of the family experiences I had growing up, and that's something that I want to end with me.
Facts. So let's talk about it. You made a promise to your mom that you would be on the stage and you would bring her on the stage to Shark Tank. How did that happen?
Yeah, man. 10 years old. Wasn't a very good speaker. It's something that's really funny to talk about, because people always know me most for like, oh man, Destin's so articulate and he's so good with communication. He's not afraid of crowds. He can say whatever. He's charismatic. He's witty, yada, yada, yada. That was not always true. When I was 10 years old, it was not that case at all. I was really bad with speaking. I had a bad lisp. I had a stutter. I was nervous about talking in crowds. I wasn't very good at it. My mom always knew the type of guy I was going to be. I wasn't the dude who was building 3,000-piece Lego sets or 1,000-piece puzzles. I was selling stuff. I was talking to people. And she said, you're going to be a sales guy. You're going to be a business guy one day. And you're going to need to know how to get your points across succinctly, articulately, and persuasively charismatic. And you need to be better at speaking. And so this is around the time that season 1 of Shark Tank came out. She said, we're going to start watching this show. And we watched it pretty much every week from the time I was 10 to 16. Every week we would watch it. It was like Shark Tank and The Amazing Race. Every week, every weekend. And one day, when I was like 16-ish, this is 2014, I remember I saw a young black man and his mom go on there. And that was the first time up to that point that I had actually thought I could be on the show. Because up to that point, it had been, maybe little kids who are on there with some kind of cute business, which, okay, they're on there. It's a good feel-good thing. Or it's like a legit older dude with millions of dollars of revenue, already raised capital, done this industry, decade experience, yada, yada. But then I saw this guy who's about college age, about the age I am now, with his mom on there. And I thought, oh, man, that really opened my mind to the fact that this is a show that I could actually be on. Up to that point, it was this cool thing that would be nice to be on, but obviously it's not going to happen. It's a TV show. That was the moment I realized, no, this is something that I actually realistically could be on one day. And I told my mom when I was 16, I want to be on this show, and I want to bring you with me whenever that day comes. Now, mind you, in full transparency, it's one of those lofty goals that you set in your mind that you feel like you're never actually going to accomplish. Like, I'm going to be in the NBA one day. Like, there's a lot of dudes who say that, and it's probably not going to happen, but, it sounds good to say it. And I thought Shark Tank was kind of in that category of lofty, unattainable, but good goals to strive for. And so, flash forward to April of this year, this is the funniest part, I didn't even apply to be on Shark Tank. I didn't think it was time. Yeah, I didn't apply at all, dude. I completely ignored it. I wasn't thinking about it. I felt like, you know what? The trajectory of this company is not going to be based on being on Shark Tank. We're too early. We're not there yet. It's not a show I want to be on until I feel like I'm ready to go on there and blow people away with our traction and metrics and product. But funny enough, a recruiter reached out to me and he completely disagreed. He said, dude, I saw your app. I read about it. I saw you in a YouTube video pitching and presenting. I think you would be perfect for season 16 of Shark Tank. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is BS. There's no way. Nobody slides in DMs to be on Shark Tank. But I did some due diligence on the guy who reached out, and it turns out he was legit. He had the background on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. He had people who he was connected to who were connected to the show. So I figured, oh, you know what? This guy might be legit. So I responded to his DM on LinkedIn a couple days later, and then we hopped on a Zoom call, and it wasn't a guy, because in my mind I was like, oh, it's going to be some dude who's like, oh yeah, my cousin's nephew's best friend plays basketball with Mark Cuban's son, and if you give me $1,000, I can put in a good word with the Cuban company's folk and see if we can get. I thought it was going to be that type of thing, but it turns out this guy was legit. He was 100% a part of the group. He was a casting producer and a recruiter for talent. And he said, yo, I think you're interesting. I think your product's cool. He asked the right questions. And he said, if you want to be on Shark Tank, I'll send you over some application information and whatnot. We can expedite you to, the other stages of the interview process. And sure enough, he sent me some legitimate DocuSign documentation with Shark Tank embroidery and letterheads. I said, oh, shit, this is real. And then, 2 months later, I'm on my way to LA to film.
Dang. So you have to take risks as an entrepreneur. And this is bringing me to my second question. You said you have family values, wholeheartedly believe that. What are some of those family values that led you to taking that meeting, to signing that DocuSign, and being on that stage?
Well, the biggest thing for me was taking an opportunity to to do something great. My mother always instilled in me at a young age that closed mouths don't get fed, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, all the adages about making an effort, putting yourself out there. And so Shark Tank was that moment for me. Genuinely, when I went on the Shark Tank, and I even told my investors this ahead of time and my family and whatnot, I don't expect to get a deal. I'm early stage consumer. We're not blowing anybody away with our revenue numbers. We're not blowing anybody away with our user numbers. We're good. We're not great. The product is good. It's not great. My experience is minimal. I'm pretty much a recent college grad building his first major startup. It's my first time raising capital. It's my first time doing this. I don't have industry experience. My team is all a bunch of, early stage people in their career as well. So we're not walking into this with this huge pedigree. We're not walking in with a bunch of revenue. We're not walking in with, a six-figure user count. We're walking in at a later, not like Figma wireframe stage, but definitely an early stage company. And so the fact we were even able to get on the show at all kind of blew me away. And then getting there, my focus was just to make good TV and recognize this is my opportunity to put my name out there, get the company out there, and build generational wealth off of just, the exposure. Because, a lot of people go on there and don't get a deal and they walk away with thousands of downloads, tens of thousands of dollars in sales, media opportunities. When they reach out to people and they say they were on Shark Tank, it just opens the floodgates for them. And so I imagined that the same thing would happen for me. And, like I said, family value is really important. That's one of the things that I made sure was prominent in my presentation, my application, all that. My mother. When I applied for the show, I mentioned my mom throughout the application. When I did my video interview for them to get it, pretty much like a casting call, I made sure to incorporate my mother. I literally flew to Louisville and made sure that when I was in Louisville, where my mom lives, I live in Texas, she still lives in Kentucky. So I flew to Louisville before I submitted the video. And we literally in the bathroom of my hotel with my phone propped up on my computer, which was propped up on the toilet, saying, hey, I want to make sure I get you in this video, Mom. Like, even if it's not company specific, I just want you to be in it so they can see your face and all that. And then when I flew there, I said, hey, can I bring my mom with me? And they said, fine. And then when I got there and we're about to film, I said, well, can I bring my mom to the green room? And then when I got there, I said, well, hey, wouldn't it be cool if my mom was with me in the lobby? And they said, actually, that would be cool. And then when I got in there, like when Lori was out, I said, oh, by the way, my mom thinks you're her favorite shark. And then, oh yeah, Rashawn, what's your why? I said, well, my mom, she was always there for me. We watched the show as a kid, blah, 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 blah. I promised her I wouldn't leave with a deal. And then eventually I got lucky because, again, it was not scripted. It's one thing that people have been accusing me of on Twitter or Reddit. I promised, hand on the Bible, it was not scripted. I legitimately was going to go ask my mom, and Rashawn was like, oh, go get her. I'm like, okay, sure. It was not scripted. And, my mom's a big part of that. A lot of my family values come from her: hard work, commitment to the cause, not wavering, not letting my emotions dictate my actions, doing it tired, doing it afraid, doing it sad, doing it annoyed. Everybody's not going to have a good day. Motivation is not always going to be enough. Staying disciplined in the process. And my mom was one of the people who instilled that in me the most of anybody in my childhood. So I wanted to make sure that that moment was one that we got to have together.
Yeah. That was a special moment.
Yeah, and talking about that real quick, it's really just a manifestation, right? Like, you really told everybody you were going to do the damn thing. You didn't think you were going to do it originally, right? So you got approached by the right people. You were able to vet them. Can you talk a little bit about the day-to-day process of really realizing that this opportunity was for you, and then realizing how you could capitalize on that? I know you touched on it a little bit about how you can capitalize on the look of being on the show, even if you don't necessarily get the money. Can you talk about a little bit about how you navigated that? I know that investment doesn't necessarily come for months after sometimes. So how did you manage the day-to-day in between, once, before the show, getting on the show, and then navigating the attention and all the downloads that you may have gotten from being on there?
Yeah, man. So before the show, so there was 3 stages really of this. So the first stage was the process of applying to actually getting there. So that part of the stage was, actually getting on the show, submitting the materials. And the application is long. It's like 120 questions. And they're not just yes, no, fill in the blanks. They're just a whole bunch of open response, thoughtful answer type questions. It took me about 2 days to do it. I had to commit a whole work day to filling out this application. And then after you do that, you got, your video interviews and calls with the producers and all these other things for them to just weed out your pitch and get an idea of what you're going to be talking about and how you are on screen, and getting you used to the blocking and whatnot. And so that's an everyday thing. So from April to June when I filmed, it was pretty much a bunch of that. daily. Even with the video demo, when on the episode you see on the big screen where we have the demo of the app, even that in itself was extremely difficult because we had to take many iterations of that before it got approved for television. We had to change the colors of the map. We had to remove street names. We had to remove city names. We had to remove points of interest. We had to change the color of certain items in it. We had to blur out the fact that we used Mapbox. We couldn't put Mapbox's logo on TV. We had to use certain images of Mark and Lori that we had on the screen. We had to change a lot. I mean, we probably remade that video about 20 different times over a 20 day span. It was difficult. We didn't even get approval to show the app on screen at all until, like 3 days before we filmed. They almost asked us, like, could you do the pitch without showing the app at all? I said, no, there's no way we could. Like, it's just not possible. We couldn't do it. We have to find a way to make it work. Whatever we have to do, just let me know. So it was a process. So then that was stage one. Then we actually go film, and we do all the stuff. We get the deal. Great. Awesome. Then stage two was preparation for airing. So, of course, here's another thing. You don't know if you're going to air because, I won't get into the specific numbers, but just know that there are way more people who pitch for Shark Tank than actually make TV. A lot of people will pitch and their episode will never make it. They're going to be stuck on, the editing room floor for life. Nobody will ever know what happened because they're not going to actually get put on TV. And so, for one, you have no idea. And they let you know, like, hey, just because you came here to film and you did all this doesn't mean you're actually going to be on TV. Some people just don't make it. And so with that being said, unfortunately, we weren't for sure. Now, I will say that I was pretty sure because, again, A, I knew I made good TV. B, we got a deal. C, we have an interesting product. And D, I'm just confident. So I felt like we were. So I realized that, all right, we need to plan ahead now. So immediately we sprung into action. All right, well, we need to launch this feature by then. We need to change our database so that way the app isn't crashing for the new surge of downloads and users. We need to do this, boom, 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 all these new things. And we were just in sprint mode for like the next 4 months of getting all these new features ready, changing UI, changing how the system works, making a Shark Tank optimized SEO website. We tried to buy the car.io domains. We reached out to PayPal. They wouldn't sell it to us. They suck, but whatever. A whole bunch of things just in preparation of getting to it. Then we have air day, and then that started stage 3. And stage 3 was actually taking in all these new people and then dealing with all the issues that come with that. Because no matter how much you prepare, it's always going to be something that don't work the way it's supposed to. Man, we had an issue where people were looking up the name and they went to go to look up cardio and they went to PayPal site, and then some of them didn't Google search to find a second time. They gave up. Android people went into the Google Play Store and were not on Android. They had to go to our website. If they didn't find the website, they didn't sign up for the Android wait list, and that became an issue. This issue in the app, we didn't actually add really easy to understand onboarding screens for this issue, for that. People didn't get this. We literally launched this feature the day before the episode aired. We didn't have a lot of time to stress test it or this or that. Now there's a glitch with this. Now there's a glitch with that. You know what? We hit our API limit for Strava uploads for a month in like 3 days. Like, crap, we got to reach out to Strava and up the limit. Now people are complaining they can't upload their routes. No, darn. So, the stage 3 was just getting all the bugs out the way and then also dealing with all the media attention. Because, again, people were blowing up my phone by the droves. Michael, you were texting me, and you were like one of 1,000 people. I was getting reached out to by high school friends, college friends, people I never met. I had people who didn't even speak English who DM'd me from other countries in Europe and Asia. I had to Google Translate their congratulations because I had no idea what they were saying. We had CNBC reach out, Forbes, people of color in tech, Afro Tech, Lavity. We're doing all these. This is like my 10th podcast interview in like the last 7 days. Just dealing with all of the inbound users, media attention, partnerships, and then just making the most of it. We just announced we're doing $1 million fundraiser in partnership with a nonprofit here in Austin, focused on helping optimize the Lady Bird Lake Trail, which you should be familiar with, Michael, with the big running trail around Lady Bird Lake. And so we're just trying to make the most out of this media attention, getting the new users in, keeping them revenue optimizing for these people, and then continuing to keep the momentum over.
That's amazing. Appreciate you sharing. Go ahead, Michael.
We one of them ones though. Like 1 out of 1,000, bro. You're gonna see us in there. We in the pool.
Yeah, I see you, dog.
Cool. Larry, any questions? I want to wrap up with this last one. Any thoughts?
No, I mean, I think that it's great that you kind of mentioned the process of what goes into production and being on TV as an entrepreneur, coming from that mindset. I don't think that a lot of entrepreneurs really do understand what it takes to get on a show, what it takes to, as you say, be an early stage entrepreneur, have an early stage company that, just put out their product out into the market, has that first, set of monthly active users, and then shit hits the fan when you get an opportunity that's bigger than what you planned for, right? So it's kind of like inevitably you had to figure it out while you were going through the stress testing process, inevitably. So I think that again, is a testament to your ability as an entrepreneur to execute, right, regardless of what's going on. I mean, even despite all the issues that came with, the more problems, you seem to have done pretty well, right? Like, what's your take on, what you've done so far versus how you've seen other people kind of handle, the spotlight and kind of falter or, succeed from that standpoint?
Well, I think we just took the time to be prepared. I think, and that goes back to, something we talked about, like, am I celebrating, am I really basking in this awesome opportunity? And to an extent, yeah, because this has been, it's been a lifelong dream of mine, but I'm also realizing we're on the 20-yard line, guys. Like, we can't celebrate Shark Tank like it's an exit. It's not. It's just an opportunity for us to have to work even harder. We have been gifted an opportunity to be even more stressed. So we need to be focused on doing the work that needs to be done to get us to the next stage. Shark Tank is a moment in history, Next day, we back at it. I'm sending emails. I'm following up with people. We're planning a watch party here in Austin the next day of. I'm coordinating all this stuff. I'm reading bug reports. I'm looking at people in the Crashlytics and what happened here and following up with people there and seeing, okay, people subscribe for this, but this feature didn't work properly and all that. So, I think the main thing that kept us solid was that I already made sure our team knew that, yeah, this is a big moment, but let's not get caught up in it. I was literally on Zoom during the episode, while the episode was airing, because we were the last company to pitch. So I was literally on Zoom 30 minutes into the episode. I'm like, hey, wait, did we do this? Did we tweak that? Let's stress test this thing real quick. Let's be sure. Even during the episode, I wasn't relaxing. I was focused on making sure that we were good to go, because I'm not celebrating these middle of the road wins. Like, we're in the end of the first quarter. Like, yeah, we hit a buzzer beater at the first quarter buzzer, but we got a second quarter starting in like 3 minutes, guys. Let's focus on that. Let's dab each other up. Let's high five. Let's go to the locker room. Let's give a pep talk. Let's get back out there. Let's get back to hooping. We ain't got time for all that. We gotta focus.
Exactly. Job not done. Go ahead, Mike.
Not done.
Job's not done. So let's think about the different goals and like jobs to be done. You are where you are. Like you said, you're in the first quarter of a long race, a long game. If you had to start over, what would you do? How would you approach entrepreneurship, and would you be in this space?
Man, if I had to start over, gosh, I think I probably would do something in B2B if I had to do something differently, because consumer is tough, man. Consumer is really tough, especially as like my first major app. Consumer is a very fickle place to start because people are fickle. When you deal with B2B customers, they kind of recognize how business works, but when you're a user, and you're just a person who plays video games like Pokemon Go and stuff on your phone, you expect everything to work the right way the first time. And you don't really recognize startups. You just see app. Doesn't work, does it not? Is it great? Is it intuitive? If it's not, then it's like, I'm out. It sucks. Bye. Tell all my friends it's awful. So I really wouldn't do anything differently, and I think I would approach everything the same way. I think my next one will definitely be B2B instead of consumer. But I think we went about everything the right way. We had an idea, we iterated on that idea. We made like 4 Figma prototypes where we wrote our first line of code. We got strategic investments. We signed the right kind of deals. We focused on creating a user-oriented product before we started focusing on revenue, making something the users actually enjoyed, getting retention there, and making a fun product that people enjoyed using and grew to be fanatical about, and then focusing on that, and then letting the opportunities come to us. For the same reason, same thing I mentioned earlier about Shark Tank reaching out. We built something that was bigger than us. A lot of people apply to be on Shark Tank. Shark Tank reached out to us because we had built a strong brand for something that people were fanatical about, and where the opportunities came to us. And I don't think I can really say I did anything wrong. I did a lot of things wrong, but I think everything I did wrong facilitated me doing things right. There's not anything I could really look at and say, yeah, if I had to start over, I wouldn't do it again the same way I did it, honestly.
That's dope. And you can see the success in your community too. You just had a watch party in Kentucky, right? Over 400 people showed up.
Yeah, we had one. We actually had one in Kentucky that was a little bit more intimate. That was about 70-ish people at the University of Kentucky. I was going to see family, friends, mentors there. And then we had one here in Austin for users and just people in the community who wanted to support and come out. We had like over 400, probably like 450 people come through. We had partnerships and sponsorships from Oracle, Gunderson Detmer, our law firm, Austin Marathon, Tequila 512. And it was a great time. It was also great to see how many people came together for this major accomplishment in my life and for the company's life, and who just came out to support and enjoy a really fun day of drinks, food, and an awesome event. So yeah, it was great, man.
Dope, bro. So thank you for your time. Again, you're someone that cares. You have a family mindset, and that's carried you far into where you are, and you have amazing people and customers to show for it. Thank you, Destin. We got some more questions, but we're going to wrap up here. This is Why Y'all Working. I'm your co-host, Michael Agusanya.
I'm a legend.
We'll be talking to you soon. Thanks, Destin.
Appreciate you guys.